Hello, Sargon, and that guy T. I wanted to add something to the conversation that I think is fascinating. I assume both of you aren't Christians. I am myself, but I think you'll both enjoy this if you don't know it. It's just really fascinating about the establishment of government in the book of First Samuel, chapter 8. And just check this out because it's fascinating because I think it kind of ties into what you're talking about, the nature of man and the. It's interesting in the Bible that government is sort of reluctantly endorsed, which you may not pick up if you've heard the typical attack on religion that it's the opiate of the masses. This doesn't quite sound like that. Check this out. It's also kind of a early depiction of the military-industrial complex, I think. So I'm going to read a little bit of this from First Samuel 8. I guess it's chapter 1. So Samuel's like the prophet, and it's coming out of the time of the judges where they don't have a king yet. When Samuel became old, he made his sons judges over Israel. The name of his firstborn son was blah, blah, blah. And yet his sons did not walk in his way, but turned aside after gain. They took bribes and perverted justice. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah, and said to him, Behold, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said to Samuel, Obey the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from being king over them. So I guess Samuel was kind of like a judge, and they only had like courts, and they had no government. According to all the deeds that they have done from the day I brought them out of Egypt, this is God speaking, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they also are doing to you. Now then, obey their voice, only you shall solemnly warn them. Only you shall solemnly warn them and show them the ways of the king who shall reign over them. Now here's the warning. So Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking for a king from him. He said, These will be the ways of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them to his chariots and to be his horsemen and to run before his chariots. And he will appoint for himself commanders of thousands and commanders of fifties, and some to plow his ground and to reap his harvest, and to make his implements of war and the equipment of his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers and cooks and bakers. He will take the best of your field and vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his servants. He will take the tenth of your grain and of your vineyards and give it to his officers and to his servants. He will take your male servants and female servants and the best of your young men and your donkeys and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your flocks, and you shall be his slaves. And in that day you will cry out because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves, but the Lord will not answer you in that day. So there you have the very unenthusiastic endorsement of government, which is entirely almost put to them as a curse. You heard that about, here's what's going to happen. He's going to take your money. He's going to abuse you. He's going to take your women. He's going to take your men and send them to war. That just blows me away because it's like a prediction of the military-industrial complex that comes with government, even back there in early Israel. I just thought I'd add that to the discussion. It's just interesting that you can't even find a very solid endorsement of government in the Bible, but it's like a reluctant, well, you guys are sinners, so you're kind of broken, so you're just stuck in this area where you have it. Now, later on in Scripture, there is saying about the ruler. God has appointed the person to basically do justice, basically. And that's the job, I think, of government from a Christian perspective, but there's not much of an endorsement of it in the Bible. Just thought you guys would enjoy that fascinating little peek at Scripture that's rarely brought up on this subject. Take care.